Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 384, Too Fast, Too Furious, Lap 15. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode is brought to you by Miami Covers, your ultimate guide to Miami's dynamic lifestyle and business scene. Dive into their exclusive interviews at Miami Covers.
I forgot what the theme was, but shout out to Miami Covers and welcome to the show. With us today, we have the producer and co-host of the Sweet Bitter podcast and others. She's also a crossword constructor, which I find very cool, and a jazz singer. With us today, we have Leesa Charlotte. Hello, Leesa.
Hello. I'm glad you think that's cool. I'm glad crosswords are cool now.
Well,
Big fans.
I am
big
currently
fans. And Joey, yeah,
on a 2,298-day New York Times streak.
Amazing.
And
my
I also
friend
do the
wrote
puzzle
the puzzle
every
today. Yeah. My friend Dina actually constructed the New York Times puzzle today. It was her debut. So.
Oh, look at
congrats,
that.
Dina.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Like herding cats. Yes, This was a good one. It was a fun one. The Mondays are nice because I'm just like, how quickly can I tear through this one? But
Yeah, I feel like there's two ways you go when you start doing crosswords. So I only started doing them like relatively late in life. And I feel like you either go down the route of like streaks and times or like I'm going to make one. And I went down the I'm going to make one route. So
very, very cool.
That's awesome, though. Yeah.
What site do you typically do that on? Because I have never made one, but I have played a couple of like home baked ones on a couple different sites.
I use Crossavail because it's free and I'm currently very underemployed. But I think there are other ones. So I actually was a New York Times fellow this year. And I think they have a different recommended one, which the name is escaping me right now. But
There you go. Now, Joe, before we get started today,
Yes.
do you remember? And there's no way you would
The
possibly remember.
21st night of September.
No. Do you remember how we met? How we found Leesa?
No, I don't. How did we find Leesa? I have no idea, to be honest.
I beady wappied her, so I get 25 points. We agreed on that episode.
No.
So, Leesa, this is the Twitter game that we play at the end of the show that you have some posts for. We have a scoring system. There's likes and retweets and replies. We've never had someone that we did that to in the episode on the show.
Oh,
We
really?
had someone else that we did like outside of it on the show. That's how we had the guy who was on Westworld, whose name I don't remember. I apologize to him, but he's not listening.
that's
It's totally
true.
fine. But
Yes.
we found with your amazing Suki shirt,
which I'm not wearing because it's
which you're not wearing.
winter.
It's okay.
And it's a tank top. But I'm wearing a Letty shirt.
I saw it. It's amazing.
Excellent.
Very, very
Top
cool.
tier.
So we have a scoring system, but I get 25 points.
To be honest, this game is really fucking hard, Lisa. This is a super hard game.
Pulls me from way behind Joe to 4.5 points up. I'm now at 92.5, and
I have
Joe,
to
you're at
claw
88.
my way back.
But
Claw my way back.
Leesa, thank you. Even if this is the worst episode we ever record, which is not going to be,
Oh, wow.
even if I'm saying
You
it's
set
not-
the
it's
bar
not
real
going
low
to
there
be.
for me. I love
But
that.
well, Joe, like in other ways, set the bar so low for like
Life.
stuff exactly. But you've put me in the lead here, which is wonderful. So thank you
Excellent.
so much.
I don't think Joey's ever been in the lead. This is like his
No.
first time since starting this.
This
He's
is
ever
Wow.
taken the
this is a big
lead.
deal.
That's amazing. I'm so glad I could be helpful. And that my need to have like so many Fast and the Furious t-shirts has paid off somehow because I think I have like 8.
Joey, how many total points do you have to just show the significance?
I have
of
92
25?
now, so I had 67. I just got plus 25. So like it's a big lead,
Wow.
and we've been playing this
We've been
for
playing
7
years.
years.
Oh, wow. That's a huge leap.
It's so hard to score points in this game because people. Okay, we'll get to this at the end when we play the game, but it's like you're online tweeting about these movies or like specific things that we're talking about, and you're like putting your thoughts out there in the world, and we're like, hey, we love the same stuff that you love. You might want to listen to the show. And almost everyone we have ever tweeted to ignores us. Just like completely
Always.
ignores us.
Or gets their account banned.
Yeah.
Immediately.
But
That was a nice run.
There was a real run where people were not deleting their account, but getting suspended. It was like, okay, well, you know,
Wow.
people tweeting about these movies also getting in trouble from. That was pre-Elon. That was in the
Yeah,
when
so
Twitter
this-
was Twitter
yeah.
days. So I don't know.
before you could free speech. Yeah.
But we'll get to that game at the end. But Leesa, welcome to the show. I'm very curious. What is your history with the franchise? Which ones have you seen in theaters? How do you watch these over and over again? I mean, you have a Suki shirt, you have a Letty shirt, you said you have 8 shirts, so you're
8.
you're in it.
I think 8. I think I have 8. That was an estimation. I actually really wanted to wear my directed by Justin Lin shirt, but it's in the wash.
I have one of those somewhere too.
yeah.
We have one of those. I
They're
have one of
super
those
yucky.
too.
Gotta love it.
Yep.
Yeah. What's my history with the shows? So the first movie came out, I was about 14, I think. So I'm like relatively sure I saw that. I don't have a great memory for these things, but I was 14 and this movie came out. So I am not 100% sure if I saw it in theaters. I'm going to say probably not. And honestly, I didn't really think about the Fast and Furious franchise for a while after that. I weirdly though, I met Paul Walker when I was 18 or 19 when he was filming in Australia.
What?
And I didn't really watch a lot of TV and movies when I was growing up, and I didn't really know who anybody was. I still sort of don't know who anybody is. But I was living in this small beach town called Noosa on the Sunshine Coast in Australia, and I was at this backpacker bar, and everyone was like, oh, that's like this guy, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it was Paul Walker and his like guys. This town is really small. And this was like a backpacker bar. Like it was like beer in plastic cups, pool table. I used to be regularly barefoot at this bar. And so I have a picture of him from when I'm like 18. Just like,
so is this when he's shooting like Into the Blue? Is it like that era Paul Walker?
I guess. Yeah, 2005,
Had to have been.
2006.
Yeah. Okay.
I would
So
say.
yeah. So he and Jessica Alba like palling around Australia shooting like their surfing, not their surf. Well, it's surfers sort of like their water movie.
Yeah. Apparently he's really nice. I didn't really spend a lot of time with him, but people in like the town did. He like went to someone's house for a barbecue and like, you know, seemed like decently a nice guy. So I met him, and then I really didn't watch the movies until probably about, I want to say, Fast 7 era. So I guess like I hadn't really like.
See, wait till he passed away to really dive into like that guy died that I met that one time. I better see what he was famous for.
Actually, it was through my Battlestar Galactica podcast that I started watching them because my co-host Melia was really into them. And I was sort of like, oh, I don't know, like,
Yep.
Wasn't really sure about it. And she's like, no, trust me, like, you've got to watch them all. And I think I got the flu and I, like, watched them all in a row. And I was like, oh, my God. And I was, like, so sold. And now I'm, like, the biggest fan ever. I've seen every movie since then in the theaters. And I regularly now, I always go to the midnight screening of the movies, which the last one... so for Fast X, I went at 11:30 p.m. with a bunch of burlesque dancers when they finished work because they were free at 11:30.
Very cool.
And it was just like us. We went on the Lower East Side. It was just us and one more group in the cinema. And when they revealed The Rock at the end, I screamed.
Love it.
Well, if you are in the greater New York area, you are, since you're on the show now, you are officially invited to we go to the AMC in West Nyack, so a little bit outside the city, but we always go
Palisades.
that opening day, the
Yeah.
Palisades Mall.
Oh,
So-
okay. That's it. That
'Cause
seems
we all
like a
kinda,
journey.
converged there.
If you're like a city person, it's like, it's not far, but it's also incredibly far because like getting to Nyack is not easy. But you are, just consider this an open invite to join us.
Thank you so much.
You and any burlesque dancers you want to join, you want to bring.
Just bring my burlesque Fast and the Furious
Like, we
gang.
get a whole row of seats. We can get 2 rows of seats. It's going to be totally fine. It's going to be great.
So yeah, that's my story with it. So yes, I always go now to the midnight screenings. I'm a really, really big fan, and yeah, I'm just sad I slept on them earlier, but
But you're here
I
now.
think
all good.
yeah, I think I watched the first 3. Like, but again, I was young and it was probably just like something that was on, you know, like I think I got lost on Tokyo Drift because Lucas Black looks so old. I could not focus on the film. I was like, this man is too old to be a high school student, and it really put me off the film for a long time. So
Yeah, I get it.
How do you feel when we flash back and we're still at Lucas Black in high school, but now he's actually like 45?
I mean, that man looks the same, I will say, pretty much. He just got real old and then continued to be old. And
Yeah.
I don't know, young people these days look really old anyway, so maybe it's just like more relevant now.
In between episodes, between movies, we do, one of the things that we do is we break down the movies minute by minute. We just started Tokyo Drift, like we finished the first 2 movies and did Tokyo Drift. And he's just wearing, like I noticed, like just old man clothes. Like he's wearing like workman boots and like
He looks like he's putting in a day
workers'
at work
pants.
at
Like he's
school.
going
Yeah.
down, like he's in a union somewhere. Like he's just like, he's not young. He does not have a youthful appearance.
But apparently he's really nice. Like, I think I heard something about, like, Justin Lin talking about how much fun he was to work with, and, like, just, like, goofy, like, that scene where he, like, smiles and his, like, teeth are missing, and, like, all of that was, like, very his personality, which then I kind of, like, warmed to him a bit more. I was like, okay, but, like, he does look like, yeah, he's 40. And that really made it hard for me to get into that movie, but it's otherwise amazing.
This movie you saw for also the first 3 you saw in your flu induced state. So you saw Too Fast in the middle of this mini little marathon while you were sick. Do you think is that the first time you saw this movie?
No, I'm pretty sure I saw it when it came out, but
okay,
not at the cinema. Like, it's just like one of those things where it's like you're a teenager and like
rental, yep.
movies are out, and like I probably watched. My dad used to rent out movies at his grocery store, and so we just used to watch like everything or get like, you know, previews, or I watched I just watched whatever was put in front of me. I didn't really have like there wasn't really a lot of movies that I was like, oh, I'm going to go see that, or like, you know.
I totally get it.
But if I'm thinking about when I first watched the franchise in a row, it was in a flu-induced state, yes. For the first 6 movies.
With that said, you said you've seen them all. Do you have your rankings of the movies for us?
I do.
Can you please
really
either
hard.
work your way from the bottom up or top down, whichever way you want to do, whichever you have a preference?
Do you have a preference?
It's up to you.
Okay.
It's up to you, yeah.
Okay. Oh, goodness. I didn't
And also
think
important,
about it
did you rank Hobbs and Shaw or not?
I did.
Okay.
Should I take it out?
No, that's good.
No,
Okay.
it's just
We do,
we
but
always
not everybody
wonder.
does.
Some people.
Okay. I had to do an honorable mention for Better Luck Tomorrow, but obviously it's not included. But we had to honorable mention
have a
that
column
because
for
I
that. It's
also
totally
include that in my like.
Joey, do you hear him? He has a column for
Got a
that.
column for that. If you want to rank the Spy Racer seasons on Netflix, we got that.
Oh, God.
Oh, I haven't watched them yet. They're on my list. Okay. Okay, so I start from the top. I'll start from the top of my day because I feel like the first 2 are like pretty uncontroversial. I feel like Fast 5 is like the obvious one that's the best movie. It's like the sweet spot between like the racing and the heist. Like and also it's the first movie with The Rock, who's awesome. So Fast 5, number 1.
Cool.
Yep.
Number 2, I put the original just because that's where it started. And because it's a great like story in that it's like probably one of the most like start to finish like coherent stories of like this is how it starts. I mean, because it's Point Break with cars, so that's number 2. Now this is where I had to like think about how I was ranking them and why. I was thinking about what I love about the movies, and I think what I love about the movies is that it's about a group of people who were cast out by society or not protected by society's standards and rules, who created their own sense of belonging and community and like their own moral code. And I feel like we lose track of that later in the series because they start working with the cops and stuff, which like, you know, it seems like very anti the beginning. So on that note, at equal third, I put Too Fast, Too Furious and Tokyo Drift because I feel like they're like the spirit of the movies. I'm going to put Too Fast, Too Furious slightly ahead of Tokyo Drift.
Okay.
And the reason is it introduced Roman and Tej, and it has awesome women characters, Suki and Monica, which I think is also what was on my tweet with my shirt was like, bring Suki back. I don't know why Suki and Monica haven't come back.
Bring Suki back, you cowards, was
Yes,
verbatim,
exactly.
which we have said before, I think
we've
verbatim
rallied
as well.
for heavily.
Yeah, because like these are great characters. They're great women characters, which I think is really cool. And that's something they don't have a lot of in Tokyo Drift. I feel like shout out to my Aussie babe. She's like the only Aussie in the series except for the director of Furious 7. But like she's not a really like interesting female character. And so like I feel like that's, and then so I'm gonna say Too Fast, Too Furious. They also have some of the best car scenes. I love the scramble. It's like one of my favorite scenes in the franchise. I think it's so much fun. It's so well shot. The whole like way it's shot is really interesting. We'll obviously get more into Too Fast, Too Furious. We're talking about it today. Number 3, Tokyo Drift. Number 4, is Tokyo Drift. I deducted points for Lucas Black looking like he's 40 and for the women characters. Though I think it has the best soundtrack, potentially, of all the films. It's pretty good. It's
top tier.
Yeah,
top
absolutely amazing soundtrack. Okay, so after that, I have Furious 7. I love the introduction of Ramsey. I love Jason Statham's character. I think, again, it has some really cool, like, epic scenes, like the jumping between the towers and the jumping out of the plane. I love the Letty Ronda fight scene. I also love that Hunsu's in it. That's his, how do I remember his last name, the Nigerian guy.
Yes.
And I think that they handle
Losi
Paul Walker's
Jaconda.
death so beautiful,
Yeah.
so beautifully. I actually have a picture, I don't know if you can see it behind me.
Oh, I can.
Of the two cars, they're driving away. I actually put that movie on to cry. So when my when my roommate comes home and I'm watching Furious 7, she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, obviously not. I'm like watching this film and crying." And it was directed by an Australian, which is James Wan, who did the Saw movies. And it's just like very like melodramatic high drama, which these movies are like soap operas. I keep trying to tell like my girlfriends that they are and that they should watch them. But
Yes.
okay, cool. So the next two were really close for me, which is Fast 9 and Fast 6.
This is a low score for 6.
Yeah.
6 is usually really high.
I don't like the Letty amnesia plot. I don't like the what's her name? Gina
Carano.
Like Gina Carano. I don't like her character that much. I think that like the switch up is really boring. Like, I don't hate the movie, and I love like any movie with Han in it, who I forgot to mention in Tokyo Drift. The introduction of Han goes without saying. Amazing character, one of my favorite characters. So yeah, I don't hate 6. When I think about the movies, there's nothing about 6 that feels memorable to me. Like, I don't think about like, oh wow, that scene in 6 is like
World's Longest Runway.
Yeah, and that's kind of like boring, you know? Like, it goes too long. So I put Fast 9 slightly above 6, and that was simply because they go to space, and I think that's great. And that's like, to me, like that acknowledgement, like the acknowledgement from Roman the whole movie, that like it's like the breaking the fourth wall of like, why don't we die? Why aren't we dying? Like, we must be superheroes. And like how absolutely ridiculous it gets that they actually go to space in like a Ford Pontiac is like amazing to me. So like I rated it slightly above 6.
Sure.
The next two I also like. I had them one way, I switched them.
I want to describe to the listeners. There's like real angst on her face.
I'm
like
so
there's like she's so torn about all of these decisions. Like
much distress.
There's objectively wrong choices, and she doesn't want to make the wrong one.
I don't want to make the wrong choice. Well,
Look,
also,
it's hard
so
to rank 11 perfect things. We know.
I know. So like, I really tried, and like, I'm also just like, you know, as I said, not 100% today. So it's like I'm using all of my energy right now to. Whew, this is really big. I don't know.
It's
You
okay.
can hear my voice is shaking. I'm so like, I am worried. This is a really big deal to me. Okay, so the next two are also again were really close. Ultimately, you're not gonna like my last 4. And
No.
They are. Okay.
Look, this is other than Joe.
There is
commented
no
on
like.
6,
This is research.
These are all
This is research.
pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Like with their
Okay.
I was giving you a spectrum that like 6 is usually generally perceived much higher.
Interesting.
There's no right or wrong answer.
the
Also,
important
I
thing
mean,
is that you
box
love
office
the
as
movie
well.
that we're talking about today. Yeah.
I
so
mean, I
it's
love
all
all the
good.
movies.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, and that's why it's hard. Okay, so the next one I put after Fast and Furious 6, which is number 7, I put Fast X next, which I don't know how I feel about it.
How many times have you seen it?
I'm gonna say 5 or 6.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I saw it twice at the cinemas, and then I've watched it a few times since then. The reason why I aimed it higher is because I felt like they went back to the original series in a way that was really interesting. So I really loved the cinematography and the colors, which I felt like were very much like Too Fast, Too Furious. I love that they tied it into Fast 5.
Yes.
I don't love the ending and all of that, but I also, Jason Momoa is so good at it. Like, he's just so funny. And
Top tier.
I was getting really sick of the villains. And even though, like, I just like him as a villain, and I think it's like, he's just so insane. It's kind of like, in a way, it's like even more chaotic than Shaw is in like the 6th movie. It's like, he just goes so far with it, and it's just like so crazy. And so I like it for that reason. And then slightly below that is Hobbs and Shaw, which I do really like watching, and I find a really watchable movie. But I just think the whole site, I know this is going to sound crazy because I just said I loved Fast 9 because it went to space. But I think the whole like Idris robot person thing was too much for me.
Well, so here's a question. I'm sort of jumping ahead. I know that you have 2 more movies to
That's
rank,
fine.
but like, do you think the Etion stuff is coming back, or is that like a separate thing that we're never going to see again? Because there's a lot of like, when I was asking about whether you rank Hobbs and Shaw or not, like a lot of people think that like that doesn't belong. It's not part of the core franchise.
Yes.
And we keep having theories like, oh, it's going to tie back in this way or whatever. But like, do you see that stuff if we only have 1 movie or maybe 2 movies or whatever left? Is that going to come back, or is that going to be separate? What do you think?
I don't know. So, like, the reason I ranked it as low, because I think it's a really I think it's a watchable movie. It just felt, as you said, like a little bit out of the storyline. But the fact that they're bringing back Hobbs makes me think that maybe they will. I guess that would change my ranking on it. I liked that it was very, it's funny. The first time I watched it, I thought that it was like really lame. That it was actually about family. And then the second time I watched it, I'm like, no, this is actually a perfect amount of family in this movie. And I really liked the going back to Samoa and all of that. Like it's very like a touching movie. And I really like the Rock and Statham together. I think they're like fun together. And I think especially
pairing.
after all of the Vin Diesel rock drama and them not even being on camera together and all of that. It was just like really nice to watch those two like have fun. I also loved Statham for ages, so, and I love The Rock, so like I loved them before Fast and the Furious, so I was very happy to have them both there.
I will say, and I've said this before on here, that when I saw 6 was the first one I saw in theaters, and when I saw 6 in theaters and Statham showed up in the credits, I literally stood up in my seat with my arms raised over my head like, we did it. We landed the big fish.
All of the bald guys, we just need them all of them in the movies. Okay, so that's them. Okay, then the last two, which like, I don't know, maybe this is unfair. I put the Fate of the Furious. I find Cypher to be like a pretty boring villain. As much as I love Helen Mirren being in the movie, as much as I love Jason Statham and the baby, which is like probably my favorite scene in the movie, there's nothing really else I think about when I think of this movie. And yeah, I just don't like Cypher as a villain. I find her like kind of annoying. I feel like they could have done something really interesting with her. Like I feel like she could have been I mean, she's a white woman with dreadlocks with a almost all people of color cast. They could have done like more fun stuff with that, but like, and just like the whole, like, I just don't buy Dom not telling them what was going on. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't believe that he would actually like turn on his family like that, even if it was for his child. Like, it just doesn't make, I never bought it. So that's why Fate of the Furious.
Sure.
And then my last one is obviously Fast and Furious. It just feels like a very forced movie. And I don't know, doesn't really fit with either side of the, like, it doesn't really fit with the first ones. It doesn't really fit with the last ones. It's kind of like is in this weird place, which is kind of like in
movie,
between. Yeah, which is not bad.
It's grown
just, like,
on us.
It's grown on you? I mean, you guys have been doing this for 15 seasons, so
it's
like,
grown on us greatly. Like the first episode we ever did, I was like, I'm really dreading having to watch 4 over and over and over again. And as we've come along, we've grown to love what it pieces together, right? Like what it glues together for you.
Yeah.
So yes. But yeah, no, I was with you. I was like, 4, not my favorite. And then like as we watch it, we're like, oh, okay, this isn't bad.
Yeah, I really want to hear what the averages are, though. I'm curious.
How many rankings do we have now?
We
total?
have, you are number 100 and, no, sorry. You're the 97th ranking we have.
Ooh, so close to 100.
So close to 100.
Yeah.
You're line 102, but I have a bunch of stuff at the top, whatever. So the number one overwhelmingly, easily, by a mile is Fast 5. Like, that's the one that people love the most. Then the second one is the Fast and Furious, the original, also kind of by a comfortable margin. And then right behind that, very, very close, is 6 and then 7. Basically tied.
6 then 7?
6 then 7.
Ooh,
But
I
it's,
would've thought
it's an
7.
average of 4.04 versus 4.07. Like, it's basically the same. With that much, it's fine. Then Tokyo Drift, which is a lot of either people's like 1 or 9, like it kind of averages sort of to the middle. And then there's also Too Fast and Fast 10 and Fast and Furious, and then at the bottom is Hobbs and Shaw and then Fate, and F9, Hobbs and Shaw and Fate. So basically you were sort of in line. It's just like Joe said, like 6 was a little bit lower for you, but like overwhelmingly 2, 4, 8, and the newest ones are all kind of, or 2, 4, and then 8 and newer are all sort of like lesser loved, but 1, 3, 5, 6 people love.
Yeah, I know a lot of people don't like the 9th movie, like F9. I think it's ridiculous, and I think that's good. I also just think that as the movies go on, it's more and more like, it's like a Muppet movie now, where like Vin Diesel is like the one like serious actor, and everybody else is a Muppet. And like, so everybody else is like in on the joke, except for Vin Diesel, who thinks this is like the most high art drama cinema. And I think that's hilarious. And that's why it's funny as it goes on.
There was a thing on Twitter a couple years ago where it was like, keep one character in a movie and replace everybody with Muppets. And we went through the entire franchise of like who from each movie. But it's funny to think either of Vin or Tyrese and a whole cast of Muppets.
It would be like it would be like the difference between Christmas Carol and which is the one with Tim Curry? Is that the pirate one? Where Tim Curry would be Tyrese, where he'd be like laughing with everyone, like I'm a Muppet too, and then Vin Diesel would be like I am a serious actor who happens to be acting with Muppets. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's But anyway, I just think it's funny. I think that's funny. I think Vin Diesel was in love with Paul Walker, and like this is like what this is, and like it's very sweet, and I love his homage. But I just think it's funny that I think Michelle Rodriguez plays pretty serious too. I think Jordana Brewster as well, but like all the other people are just like clowning, and I am here for it. Yeah.
So now, before we talk about Too Fast, we have a couple conversation starter questions. Actually, before that even, we have some... There's things about these movies. Again, this is our 15th time through. We've watched them more than we just have talked about for the show. But there's questions we have about these movies that we cannot find answers to. Because there's no right answers, there's no wrong answers, and we ask everybody that we can. We actually haven't done this in a while because...
We haven't done it in a long time.
The last lap was the same guest every time, and our first episode this lap was somebody who's been on a bunch. So you're the first person we're asking in a long time, so we've not heard new answers here. So this is very exciting. It's very exciting for me, for Joe, for the listeners. In the first movie, if you'll remember, there's a scene where Mia and Brian are doing dishes after the barbecue. Mm-hmm. And Vince drunkenly comes into the kitchen and berates Brian and flirts with Mia. And she says, hey, Vince, what's the name of that restaurant you want to bring me to? The one with the wood tables, the red candles, the picadillo, the food all over the place. And he goes, oh, cha-cha-cha. She says, yeah, Brian, you can take me there. If we describe to you and say, Leesa, so sorry saying that this is going to be the worst episode of all time. Clearly, it's the best episode of all time. We want to bring you out for a Thanksgiving, a celebratory meal. We got 10 million downloads. People love this episode. We got a great restaurant. There's these wood tables, these red candles. There's this food all over the place.
Picadillo.
If we describe a restaurant as having food all over the place, what do you picture? What do you think of? Is that good? Is that bad? Is it fun? Is it messy? Food all over the place. What does it mean to you?
I mean, I feel like the scene has changed so much since 2001. Or 2000 when this movie was filmed. As to what that would mean. It kind of makes me think of unlimited pizza at Pizza Hut in the early 2000s.
Oh, pizza buffet.
Yeah. I don't know if you had the same exact thing here, but we had Pizza Hut was one of the only restaurants you did all you can eat at. We would have we had a couple of we had a Sizzler, I think. We had one Sizzler and we had a few Pizza Huts, and then there was a bar restaurant or something that was buffet. But I guess I would probably think of it as that. Or a really pasta Italian restaurant where there were just huge portions. But I feel like everyone has huge portions in America, so.
But you think it's a good thing. It's just there's food you can eat.
It's food
everywhere
buffet.
You look.
I don't think that it sounds like a great place. But I don't think that I have the same culinary expectations as this family in the early 2000s did.
Well, because we see them on their date, and it does not look like there's food all over the place. It looks like a normal restaurant.
It looks like a Mexican restaurant. That's a Mexican restaurant.
And so we have a lot of questions for. We have not talked to many of the actors in these movies, but we have a lot of questions for them. But not normal questions. We're like, hey, Jordana Brewster,
she's not going to even remember saying that line.
No,
she's definitely not.
But I want to know what she thinks it means, and then whatever she thinks it means is what it actually means.
It's now canon.
Yeah,
it comes out of her head. It comes from Mia.
Can I just quickly on a side tangent, because I did not have time to go through your 300 and something episodes, and I also cannot believe that you made that many. That's so impressive. Because I could never keep up. Did you ever cover the movie Debs?
We are doing it this lap.
Are you having me on that episode?
You can join for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because I love this episode. I love this movie, and I am. I was I really hope you've covered it because it has Jordana Brewster and Devon Aoki in it.
Do you know what the theme of this lap is?
No.
Our theme this lap is we should have already covered that.
Oh, really?
So that's why we're covering Debs.
Oh, yes, you absolutely should have.
Yes.
Such a cult lesbian classic.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Mm-hmm. So we were happy to have you on because we also have another friend who's actually on the last episode with us who really wants to talk about Debs too because he used to have a high school podcast. Maybe still kind of does, but he doesn't really do episodes for that anymore. But
he's a father now.
He's a father.
He's a father now.
You're a father now, Brian.
Yeah. Now you only can see him at the end when the car drives up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yes, we're covering that in about 6 months, so we'd love to have you back for that one. Absolutely.
Unless this is the worst episode of all time, in which case.
No, so far, so
it's
good.
It's absolutely not. Trust me.
Okay, so now in the 7th movie, jumping ahead to the 7th movie, one of your favorites, there is the line, they're around the table, and Roman is bragging about all the things that the family has done. He's taking credit for all of them. He's talking about how he shot that shit out the sky, but bow, right? And Brian says, the only thing I've ever seen you take down is no knees Denise at prom. And Roman says, really, Brian? You're going to do that right now? If you hear a person described as being no knees blank, like no knees Joe, no knees Lisa, no knees Denise, what does that mean to you?
I think that it indicates that she gives a lot of head. That's what I took it as in the movie. Like, it was like oh, she's like known for giving head, and she's so like she's down there so long she doesn't even need her knees. You know? I don't know. What do you guys take it as? I want to know what your thoughts were. That's like my first thought.
There's been many different disparaging comments.
That's one of the more
about
common
Denise.
ones. There's also she does not do that. That's why she does never
Oh.
never
Brutish.
goes on her knees.
Actually, that probably makes more sense logically, but it doesn't
Neither of them
feel
make
like...
sense. Don't try to think this one out too hard because nothing makes sense about it.
Well, no knees makes more sense because she can't kneel. She can't do that. Because, like, there's no other way except for standing upright to give head, obviously. Yeah.
So, okay, in the same movie, in Furious 7, one of your favorite scenes, the Ronda Rousey Letty fight, right? There's the fight in
great
the
scene.
birthday party scene. They say to Roman, once again, Roman, we need you to shine bright like only Roman Pierce can. You need to distract this room so we can steal the car in the other room. And he does the birthday song.
Yeah.
Does that terrible rendition. If we say to you, Leesa, we're going to rob this birthday party of a car. I'm going to pick up the car. Joe's going to steal the thing from underneath. But we need you to shine bright like only Leesa can. What song are you singing a cappella karaoke style to distract? Either so good people can't take their eyes and ears off you, or so bad that they're just trapped in fear. What song are you singing?
Okay, so I am a singer. And
Okay.
I noticed
She's working late.
a cappella is harder. Like, I can sing the hell out of a Whitney, like, Saving All My Love for You, etc. And that's pretty good. I mean, it's hard to show-stopping. That one would be kind of hard a cappella to be show-stopping, but I think that's like my like signature piano karaoke song. It's
Love it.
probably Saving All My Love for You by Whitney Houston.
Very cool.
Also, just because you seem enthralled by our bullshit, Joey has a Spotify playlist of everybody's picks
I need to
for the
update that.
karaoke
I've not
song.
updated that in a while. But yes, it's the weirdest list because it's just like
the weirdest playlist.
it's like you can't put it on shuffle. You don't want they're not good songs. They're just like it's all over the place.
karaoke bangers.
Love
And
it.
it's just
Love
way
it.
all over the place.
Yeah.
I
So
will
I
throw on
need to
that for
update that. That's a good.
inspiration.
I forgot about that, but yes. Do you have a favorite character in the franchise? It doesn't have to be in this movie. It can be in a different movie. It doesn't have to be in Too Fast. But do you have a favorite character in these movies?
It's like having to rank the films. It's like, how do you choose? So perfect. I do love Letty, but like she's not like I think I just love Michelle Rodriguez, so that's not right because I don't love Letty's character. It's just Michelle Rodriguez. How does she get hotter every film? Like I really need to know how she gets hotter every film. So that's just my bi panic. I can't like okay.
Well, that's also something about like in It's Always Sunny. Like Caitlin Olsen gets more attractive as time goes on. The guys all become like there's just something about like guys aging differently than women, where like the women just tend to start looking better as they get older, and guys just collapse upon their own.
Look like us.
Hey, hey.
I'm going to, in the honor of Too Fast, Too Furious, and I don't even know his character's name, but I just love Michael Ealy, and so I'm going to say Michael Ealy. You know what? Actually, no. I love Jesse. I fucking love Jesse, and he's
Okay.
only in the first movie, and he shouldn't have died. But I don't know. I don't have a favorite character.
Dying doesn't really matter anymore.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Jesse
Bring back
needs to
Jesse.
come back.
I also said bring back Jesse because, like, seriously, we watch all these people fucking die. And they're like, no, but we really saw Jesse die. I'm like, bring back his twin brother. I don't care. I love Jesse. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to choose a favorite character. I love them all.
Michael Ealy's character is Slapjack. Now, there is a theory that another guest of ours had, a couple years ago that we love, where all these characters come back from the dead, but if Dom sees you die, you are dead. So unfortunately, he sees Jesse get gunned down. But, like, he didn't see Giselle sacrifice herself to save Hans, which is why she can pop up in
We
in
didn't
Submarine.
need her. No one needed Gal Gadot to come back to the franchise. When she came back, I was
Han
like,
did.
no, he could do better.
He could do better
He
than
could.
Gal, than Wonder Woman.
Look. I can never forgive her for Imagine, okay? I just can't look at her the same again.
Leesa, we were in a dark place during COVID, and we needed the world to come together from a bunch of celebrities singing Imagine.
I just can't
At
look
least
at
you
her the
didn't
same
Vanessa
anymore.
Hudgens it.
I never had any kind of like huge feelings towards her, and then when she did that, I'm like, I can't look at you the same anymore. I just
It
can't.
was a special time.
Touche. Well played. I agree. That was a very Jerry Seinfeld reaction to that, and I stand by that.
Is this our
with
first
you.
episode recordings? You said Seinfeld, but it reminded me in the era where Jay Leno fell down the hill. We've not talked about that on here, right?
We have it.
We're
Big fan.
what?
Did you see Pat McAfee had them go measure how big the hill
No,
was?
I saw
today, 'cause Jay
pictures
Leno
online.
said
The
it was
picture's not 60 or 70 feet like he said. Wait, Lisa, do you know about this or
44.
no?
It was
no,
44.
I do not know at all what you're talking about.
Jay Leno gave an interview last week where his entire left side of his face was bruised and he was wearing an eye patch because he fell down a hill.
Okay.
And they're like, the mob got him.
because he was like 25 or 30 miles outside of Pittsburgh, like doing a show. But people are like, it seems like you have like mob debts. So there's like all these conspiracy theories online that he might have gotten like roughed up for like people he owed money to. But he's like, no, I just saw a hill and I wanted to walk down. It was like 60 or 70 feet, but it was like this like
Well, there was
little-
like a Longhorn Steakhouse at the bottom of it or something, like a Chili's.
But he
or
was
something
like
the
staying at a
bottom of it.
Ramada that was like $95 a night. It's just like, dude, you're like a multi-millionaire. Like,
Okay.
Really a billionaire,
That's
yeah.
very
Weird.
strange. I
yeah.
do not know anything about Jay Leno.
that's good.
Yeah, you didn't miss much. This guy's bruised up.
Okay.
That's it.
So to pivot toward this movie talk, but sort of more specifically about the themes of this lap, Joe said before, this is the oops, we should have covered this already. Like, we should have talked about Debs years ago. We've not talked about Debs. We're fixing it this lap. But with that in mind, we have a bunch of conversation starter questions. We're gonna ask you two. But first off, I want you to pick a number between 1 and 8.
5.
This has nothing to do with the movies, but here's a conversation starter for you. What is a hobby? Oh, actually, no. We might have already covered this in your introduction. What's a hobby, skill, or interest you recently got into, but wish you started earlier?
Crossword construction.
That's what I thought. I was just like, we already covered this.
Perfect.
I only started doing
Love
it about
it.
a year ago, and I
Yeah.
I only started solving crosswords like a few years ago. Actually, it's not really a thing that I was aware of, and I'm not really good with words. I'm better with numbers, and I
Do
figured.
they
out
not
enough
have
of it.
crosswords in Australia? Just kidding.
No, but kind of like we have more cryptic crosswords, and so unless you have someone who gets you into like a New York Times style crossword, you're probably not gonna be exposed to that.
Seriously, wow.
And I don't really.
I thought it was just ubiquitous. You know, like I would just assume that they're just fucking everywhere, right?
Yeah, it's more cryptic crosswords, which I don't like as much. And I didn't really come from a family that would like do crosswords. Like I didn't really come from like I don't know, an academically forward family. And I also, as like more of a math person, I always just like, and I only started doing them because I was like, waiting for my visa. I was working as a barista, and we used to get the New York Times every day, and we used to do them with customers. And then I was like, oh, I can do this. But it just took time to like, yeah. Actually, getting COVID was my when I started doing them every day, because it's one of the only things that helps like brain fog, which I get really bad brain fog when I get COVID. So crossword construction, I keep trying to put in, and hopefully one day you read this in the New York Times, but you know how in the first episode there's that Hector character, and he plays Hector in like 12 movies. I keep trying to put Hector in a puzzle so I can use that as a clue.
If you ever do
Really
a Fast and
niche.
Furious themed crossword, send it
can
to
do
us,
one.
please, and we will share it with all of our listeners, because
Yeah.
that feels important.
I could do it for fun, yeah. When I finish my slew of things I have to do, I could do a Fast and Furious crossword.
You could do like a whole theme around like family or something, right? Like, you know how there's like the one word that like basically
Oh yeah,
gets you into
that's
the theme of the
fun.
thing. Joe, do you have an answer to that question? We have not done this one yet, because it's only the second time we've.
Something that I got into that I should have gotten into
Something
earlier.
you really,
yes.
not something you like. You wish you started that you haven't done at all, but something you're doing now. You're like, I wish I should have done that earlier.
I think the idea, and I think you guys were kind of on the journey with me when I started, but like gardening and just tending to plants, I think have taught me a lot about life and just patience and growth. And
Growth.
growth, haha. And just plants teach you something that I think is a really important lesson. And I've read this somewhere else. I'm not the original thought of this. It's that like you can overlove something. That like a lot of times plants do really badly if you're constantly watering, checking, blah 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 blah. Just leave them the fuck alone. And I think that's a good life lesson, and it made me realize that.
I
Nice.
love that you say that on your 15th season of a podcast about a franchise. Like that you can overlove something, but you do. You obviously haven't overloved Fast and the Furious yet. But
No, definitely not.
No, we for
impossible.
for a while we're like, we're gonna get tired of these movies, and like so far still has not. But
Yeah, years and years into this.
my answer would be, I started doing it like 2 years ago, but I wish I started yoga earlier. Like I do it every day, and I've been doing
Yoga's
it for like
great,
the last
bud.
2 years. But like, you know, I just think about like if I started like even like a year before, like how much more I could do than I can do now, because you know you just have more reps, more whatever. Okay, now the other conversation starter, and this is going to kick us right into this discussion today. Leesa, what is a movie, not a Fast and Furious movie, but one that like reminds you of the Fast and Furious movie? Maybe that we could do one day in the podcast. Maybe we've already done. But is there a movie out there that you're like, this movie is so Fast and Furious, but it's not a Fast and Furious movie?
I mean, obviously Debs. I think that what was interesting is I was reading a little bit about Too Fast, Too Furious while I was watching it today. And I think the homoeroticism in Top Gun is very similar vibes to this. I mean, obviously Point Break as well is the same movie, but like, yeah, the homoerotic element of Top Gun is very similar.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Great choice.
Have you guys covered
I
that?
always No, we haven't covered Top Gun.
Well, I
think
did a Tom Cruise podcast, so we did that. Oh, I forgot. So I was looking because we run a film club on a movie site, and we did a homoerotic month over there of like movies like Top Gun that just like it's not a gay story.
Fight Club
but
is
it's
always
pretty,
my choice.
But I was trying to think if we had like a thing. We didn't have a lap planned, but Joe, we do have the car wash lap, which was the leftover actors movies, or the family crossover, which was things like Deb. So we had a name for this lap that we're doing, but we just changed the name of it. But no, Top Gun's very good. Top Gun's a really good answer.
I feel like I'm getting like graded on every question you ask me.
Well, you're soaring. They're great answers.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Too Fast, Too Furious.
That was actually just for you to give us ideas of things that we've missed.
Okay.
Is what the actual objective of that question was. Is like, I just wanted to, like, I just thought of it today, and I was like, Joey, we should do that because now we can start adding to more movies to the list of shit we should have covered
Nice.
by doing that. So that was the intentionality.
So, Leesa, the floor is yours. Too Fast, Too Furious. Favorite moments, least favorite moments, things that make you scratch your head, things that you stand up and cheer about. Where do you want to begin? We've talked about this movie so many times, so wherever you want to start, we can jump in.
Well, I was saying earlier to Joe that I actually watched the DVD version, and what I don't know if you've actually covered is the ads that were at the beginning of the DVD.
Ooh, we have not.
And they were actually pretty fun.
Please tell.
Okay.
Please share.
So the first one was for a movie that I don't really... Well, I either thought it was an older movie and maybe it is. I'm going to look it up. But or I wasn't aware of it, but Time Cop was the first ad.
Oh, yeah, with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, but that's what I thought. But that feels like older than 2003.
I think it's 94. That's really old for a 2003 DVD. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them were really old movies. I think this is maybe, and like I was thinking back, and like I think this is kind of when DVDs started to become more prolific, right? So like if I'm thinking back to like in the 90s I had like VHS, and in the early 2000s I had VHS, and I feel like this is a time when like DVDs was starting to be a thing. And so most of the ads were for remasters or anniversary editions of old movies.
Ah, makes sense.
So it was Time Cop, it was Scarface, and Animal House.
Wow.
Which are all
okay,
like
so like
kind
a
of
10-year
like,
anniversary, kind of 20-year and like 25-year, kind of. Okay.
And then the last one, which is so random, was Bring It On Again.
Interesting.
Okay.
Which I was just like, okay.
The target demo is definitely 14-year-old boys, I guess.
I guess. So
and possibly 14-year-old girls.
I
maybe?
mean, like, so that was interesting. And then I don't know if you've watched the DVD, but basically you get to choose your ride. So you can be Roman or Brian or Suki, and they all have their own menus. And then they all have their own little like DVD bonus features where you get to like drive with them. I did not watch them all, but I did watch the Suki one. And Devon Aoki didn't have a driver's license before she started this movie.
Love it.
I think neither did Michelle Rodriguez,
No.
right? Isn't that one of the stories? She didn't have one either, I don't think.
She didn't. So I think that's great. And that's on the DVD. And it was just like exactly what you think it is. It's just like so cheesy. Like all of the in-between scenes with the driving is like amazing. So
Well, you put on Twitter a picture of the DVD menu, which is also like a
So
relic
good.
of a bygone era.
Yes. I miss a DVD menu. Bring it back. Bring it back.
Please.
I think they kind of do it a little bit on Apple sometimes if you have like an actual Apple TV. But not enough. It needs to be cheesier.
Well, that was like that's the real. I mean, like, look, I as you can see behind me, I buy too many movies, but like I don't have time. Like, I choose not to watch. I just watch movies instead of like special features. But like the Netflixification like lost all of the extra stuff. You just like tap the thing and it starts. Like you don't have the menus. You don't have. Like I don't want the commercials. I don't want the trailers. But like
forcing
they're there. That's part of the experience. Or
the
like
FBI is watching.
You wouldn't download
you wouldn't.
a car.
Yeah, you would.
Yes, I would.
Yeah, you wouldn't steal a car. How do
I
you
would
know?
absolutely
How do
download a
you car. So that was really fun. I actually forgot I had the DVDs. And then I was like, oh, damn, I should really do it properly for this, watch the proper DVD.
I'm trying to buy it in as many formats as I can have it. So I have Too Fast currently in VHS, DVD, I think French-Canadian DVD,
Oh.
Blu-ray, 4K, and then most recently, very exciting, HD DVD, which does not really exist
The
anymore.
HD DVDs one's top tier.
That was like $4.
Excellent
That was
choices,
like
Leesa.
$4 on eBay. It was such a good buy. I don't have a player
Brian,
for it.
Brian brought it up, right? Weren't we like on the thing? He's like, "Do you have the HD DVDs of these?" And you're like, how much are they?
It was during the Randy cut, and I don't remember how it came up, but yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I could watch it theoretically in 6 different ways, but I have not seen those DVD menus, so I'm not watching it the right way, I guess.
I feel like we should all be buying more DVDs. I think that like I just noticed today I was trying to put something on my phone from my computer, and an album that I own on Apple is now gone. And I'm like, I bought that.
Yep.
I bought that album.
Yeah.
And now I don't have it anymore. And so I think I'm going to try and get more hard media. And I just felt like I was sick of trying to chase it across platforms.
What's messed up is that you're buying licenses to these things. You're not buying the actual thing. Steam is very clear about when you buy a video game through Steam, you're not buying the game, you're buying the rights to play it, and they can just delist it or whatever. It's just not great.
Yeah, everything's crazy. Anyway, that's in that. So
I have a question. And I'm sure that we mildly danced around this, Joey, but I want to hear both of your answers. We're starting the first race, right? Brian jumps over who? Flapjack, right?
The aforementioned Michael Ealy. Yeah.
Yes, he jumps over him, wins the race, and then Suki and Orange Julius are coming up behind, and Orange Julius is like, "Get the fuck out of here," and he bails. Why would Suki still continue on the bridge
For
jump,
pride, baby.
yeah,
knowing that she's going to fuck her car? But this isn't
That's
like a
just the kind of
series.
girl she is.
Points.
It's just pride.
nah, it's pride, and that's just showing what kind of girl she's gonna finish the race. It doesn't matter. She's just gonna finish.
To your own detriment. She doesn't get a cut for coming in third. You know what I
It's
mean?
not
So
all
this
about
is a
money.
really serious
Look, we could Galaxy bring this. Maybe she's doing for pride, number one. Maybe she's got the hots for Tej and knows that because he obviously just hey, bring that car by. If you want to, you got that body, the other whatever.
Oh.
Right? But she's like, I want to sleep with him anyway.
No.
But I can make it seem like it's his idea, and I can get him to do the work for free. Maybe.
I don't believe she's driven by men like that. No,
I don't think so either. But I'm just thinking.
Yeah, we have a long standing thought that she's not driven by men at all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that it's pride. I think that it's I'm going to finish this race. Because when they put that bridge up, it wasn't all about the race anymore. It was sort of about who is up for this challenge.
So actually, I have another related question to that. So there's the iconic line, it's an all-timer tonight, right? He's talking about he's got these grand ideas, puts the bridge up, whatever. A couple questions about that. Number one, the all-timer tonight is just the bridge, right? Does that mean all these other races are just normal kind of boring races? Or how does he top this for the next race? And does he leave this job and join the family because he's I can't do any better? We did the bridge thing. I'm out of ideas.
That was his big exit.
I'm mentally tapped. I'm joining the family.
He won the Super Bowl. He's retiring after.
Because you do the bridge, it's just a Tuesday night, right? You do the bridge thing. You're oh shit, we got another race on Thursday. What do we do? He's I'm out of here. I'm gonna go rob a bank in Brazil. Right? I don't know. What do you?
I have such the next question for you too. I have two notes, and you've just led me right to my next one. Okay, but
I don't have answers to these, and I don't know how you top this.
What do you top it with? I don't know, but I think you have to run this on a Tuesday night. You can't do this on Saturday. There's too much traffic. There's too much awareness. I think this has to be a Tuesday night. I think you change the course a lot because obviously they're setting up and they draw the lines. Mm-hmm. So I think that the course is amorphous, so you have more to play with. But you're right. I don't know what the topping of a bridge jump would be in street racing.
I mean, we
It's
say
very
that,
difficult.
but they managed to keep topping us with the Fast and Furious movies, is all I'm saying. You're
true.
oh, they did this. Where do they go from here? And then, lo and behold, they managed to go to space. Anyway.
From there, Tej, you said he retired. Now he's going to go rob banks or whatever. I was thinking this time that Tej is there. He's like, look, I don't race anymore because, I did a $160, hit a wall. Mm-hmm. He has a giant garage that has brand new lifts, right? Mm-hmm. He's running gambling on jet ski races. Mm-hmm. I want to see a version of this movie where Tej is in with Verone.
Ooh.
And is secretly selling drugs for him, and that's how he is supporting this lifestyle. And that at the end of it, Tej turns on them and is like, no, I was with Carter the whole time.
No, Tej. Tej.
No, I mean, I know it has implications so vastly beyond just this, but I'm like, wouldn't it kind of make sense that Tej is like secretly selling
Tej is like
Carter Brown's drugs?
One of the most like unquestionably like good guys in this. I mean, other than the way he like shamelessly hits on Ramsey, like he's just always like steady and helpful and good. To have him be evil is just such a turn.
Right? I think it would be very surprising. I would like, I just this time watching it, I was like, what if Tej would have been the actual big bad here? Like, he would have done the whole Campos is Braga, Braga is Campos thing at the end.
Oh.
That, like, Carter was working for him.
I can't see past the rest of the franchise. No, Tej. Just... I don't think I really like the turning on trope. Maybe that's why I don't like the 6th movie. Felt like it fell like flat, or it was too obvious or something.
Well, it's also maybe why you don't like the 8th movie, because like that's the whole core premise. It's like Dom against the family, right? It's like this doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Because for me, it is really about like found family and like a very strict moral code. And I think that when that kind of is off kilter is probably the episodes that I don't like, or the movies that I don't like. I feel like, you know, increasingly as the world is crazier and crazier, it's very important to have your own like moral code that exists outside of like societal expectations, and I think that's what I like about it. And found family, yeah, obviously family. There
is a thing early on in this movie that the movie does that like breaks the rules of cinema in a way that like is very disorienting. That I remember, Joe, when we were looking through the minute, we were confused by this, and then I realized why we were confused this time.
Okay, what is
when
it?
Brian is running away from that first, or he's driving away from that first race, right? The cops are after him.
Yes.
And he gets hit by the EMP and crashes and gets busted.
Into the parking meter, yeah.
There's a thing called the 180-degree rule. Do either of you know this in filmmaking?
I do not. Please explain.
So there's a rule that, like, in any scene, like, imagine, like, just like the three of us talking, like, we're all in the same room talking, right? You draw a line any direction you want, but the entire scene should be told from one side of that line. So, like, we could be on both sides of you as long as you're sort of on the same side of the line. Because, like, otherwise, if you're jumping all around, it's very disorienting. It's hard to tell where people are in space. And this is a way to say, like, oh, no, like, Joe is here, Lisa's here, I'm here, whatever, right?
We're, like, on, like, the couch at in your living room, and we're all watching TV.
And so, like, you could choose whatever line you want, but you want to make sure that it's all, like, framed or, like, shooting the same way. Because otherwise, you're like, I don't have a sense of where these people are in space.
A scope.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
So in that scene, when Brian is driving away, we see the camera shoot through both windows. So, like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, we see him, like, with the water mural on the one side and that green wall on the other side, because we were like, is this, like, a weird, like, green screen they didn't get rid of? But it's like, no, there's just two walls. But, like, it's shot through both ways, so, like...
And your brain is so cued in to follow this rule that
all
when they broke it...
all our brains are.
Yeah.
But it's just like, why does this feel so weird? It's because they broke, like, a very basic rule of filmmaking where John Singleton's like, no, man, we're just going to shoot through both, it's like, whatever. But, like, I was like, oh, that's why it's so weird. Because, like, you're always supposed to be, like, say, on the right side of the car or the left side of the car. But they're like, no, we're on both sides of the car. It's like, where are you?
yeah. I would have never caught that.
I would absolutely never catch that. I actually really like the way this movie is shot, as I was saying before. And I feel like I completely, like, took the conversation in the direction of the DVD and did not even talk about the movie at all.
We don't even need to talk about the movies. We've talked about the movies so many times. That's the whole point of this.
But I do really love the way this is shot, and I love how colorful it is, and I love that they've brought that back in Fast X. I think it's really, like... I think it's interesting because I feel like films got really, if I can speak about like my very, very, very amateur take on the way the films have gone in the last, like, in my lifetime, let's say. I feel like previously, I'm going to call it like the pre-9/11 era, which this film feels very pre-9/11 even though it wasn't. And I feel like that era is very bright and it's very like, it's just different. It's a bit more lighthearted, whatever. And then we got into this really like serious, dark era of movies, which the Fast and Furious franchise 100% followed. It got really dark, it got really gritty, it got really all of this. And I feel like we're moving back out of that era now. I feel like at least the movies I've watched in the last like year or so have been, or even like a couple years ago, have been a bit more like lighthearted and just different from a cinematography perspective and like lighter again. And I like that's what's happening. And so I think that's what I really like about this movie is how bright and colorful it is and how it feels like it's of that era that I grew up in and not like the era that I've been an adult in.
Would you want to put a neon underglow on your car?
No. But
No?
I didn't have a car. I moved to New York, so I didn't have to drive. But
If you did, though.
no, I would never do that. I don't like to draw attention to myself. I had like a Mitsubishi Magna, and a Nissan Pulsar.
What's a Magna? Is it a Lancer?
I think it's an Australian. I
don't
think you
have that
only
here.
get it in Australia. What's cool about that is that a Mitsubishi Magna is like such a common car in Australia that you can literally fix everything for like nothing. Like you can change your own brake pads. You can like change everything in the car. It's like it's very cheap and easy and whatever. So that's the last car I had. That's not 100% true. I drove a 1987 BMW. BMW for a 1989 BMW. For like 6 months because someone crashed into my car 6 months before I was meant to move overseas. And my friend loaned me her like 1989 Beamer, which is the most fun car I've ever driven. But I had to start it with a spoon. But I would never get
That's awesome.
neon underlights in my car. And I'm not really a big like car person or a new car person. I like an old car, like just a bang around old car that I don't feel a lot of pressure about, that I'm not worried about like dinging up or whatever. I'm not a bad driver. I just I get stressed out when things are expensive, you know? Like if I'm in a really nice car, I'm like worried I'm going to crash it.
Mm-hmm.
I like a practical
Okay,
car.
in America, the Magna was the Galant.
Okay, that's what I had. And I had a Nissan before that. We have a lot of like Asian cars in Australia also.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But no, I would not have neon under my cars, but I do like the colors in this movie. I think it's great. I think that's really well illustrated in the scramble scene with all the different colors. And like, I love it.
Watching how neon saturated this was, I was thinking we should have done Spring Breakers.
Spoilers for a future lap, which is going to be like future. We have a Too Fast lap, which will be the Florida lap. We'll do that in that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you know, like as I was
sure.
watching, like as I was thinking about this, I was like, oh man, this movie totally reminds me of Spring Breakers, and Spring Breakers somehow does feel kind of Fast and the Furious in its own weird way because of this movie, but they're not related, right? So, like, yeah.
This is also kind of like the blackest movie, and also Paul Walker thinks he's black in this movie. Like, the whole, like, forget about it, cuh. Like, I'm like, who are you? Like, you're white. What are you doing? So that's my other comment on this film.
Did you not have this experience in the early 2000s in Australia that like it just became like culture? Like this was just the like 13-year-old boy culture of the time. Like Nelly had just released like Country Grammar, right? So like that's the lens you have to watch this through.
Yes,
right?
I understand. It's just funny to watch now, and I don't think he really does this so much in any other film. It is specifically this one. Like it's not even in the first one. He's not like trying to be that. We didn't have, I mean, not really. It's really hard to say. I grew up in a pretty like smallish place, and like we don't have the same breakdown of ethnicities and whatever in Australia. We didn't have like a African slave trade. We have a lot more Asian people in Australia. Not to say that we're not affected by like American culture and black culture, but it wasn't like quite in the same way, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, because it was huge. I mean, like this was like Outkast.
Yeah.
Like this was like everything that we had.
Also,
was
like
just, like hip hop culture for like that whole era.
I went to a small like school in the hills, so I had like 35 people in my grade. So it's not like we were like being deeply affected by this. I will say that there was a guy who worked for my dad. He was like 4 years older than me. And I thought he was so cool. I had the biggest crush on him. And he used to make me mix CDs of hip hop. And so he would like make me like, it would be like Dr. Dre and like Eminem and like Snoop Dogg. And so I had like, I liked the mix CDs. I never really like got the albums, but so I had like all of these like random hip hop mix CDs from this, you know, cute guy I had a crush on.
There you go. That's this era to a T. It's like it's not.
Yes.
Oh, she almost spit out her water. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
It's not CDs. It's just like who like
mixtapes.
I don't know who this artist is, but I have one song from him, or I don't even know who this artist is. It's just track 7.
Track 7.
Yeah,
Track
exactly.
7 is fire.
Exactly. So that was kind of like my experience with hip hop. I really like it now, but like I feel kind of behind because I wasn't really part of like, I didn't really experience a lot of things till I came here properly, like knowing about it. But no, I just think it's like, it is kind of like the blackest movie of all of them, which like makes sense, I guess.
John Singleton.
Yeah, it's John Singleton, but like I was watching it and I was like, wow, this is like really like, yeah.
Speaking of that sort of, and like what they added here, Roman as a character undergoes like a real shift from being like this sort of serious like guy with a past to like being this like literal clown on screen. Do you prefer like early, more serious Roman, or do you prefer like comedic relief later in the franchise, joke Roman?
I think they could be a happy medium. I will say I think it's really funny, and I was like, oh yeah, it was the 2000s. This makes sense when he like rips off his shirt as he goes to like punch the hole in the glass. I'm like, of course he had to take his shirt off because he was in like every video clip. Like,
Leesa, I don't know if you've seen Trap, but there is a scene where Josh Hartnett takes his shirt off to eat a piece of pie because like why would he not take his shirt off?
Have you seen this movie yet?
I haven't seen it.
It's the new M. Night. I turned to Margaret in the theater and I was just like,
horror, but is Josh Hartnett still worth taking his shirt off? Like, he's old now.
He looks good. He looks really good.
He looks
for his
good.
age,
I also
think.
think it's like people who grew up like idolizing Josh Hartnett, like in the 90s or whatever, like still are always going to find him shirtless attractive. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. My favorite Josh Hartnett movie, on a total random tangent, is O. Did you guys ever see O?
No, but Brian covered it for it's the Othello adaptation, like the basketball in high school, right? Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's because it came out around the same time, actually, as the first Fast and the Furious movie. I don't know if it's because of when it came out or, like, I don't know what it was about that film because, like, all the pieces were there that it should have been, like, a huge film. Like, Julia Stiles is in it, Mekhi Phifer, Josh Hartnett.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
and she's coming off Save the Last Dance and, like, all this stuff, right?
And it's, like, Othello's such an epic story, and there's basketball, and there's this and that. And, you know, like, whatever his face is from 10 Things I Hate About You, which is also a Shakespeare adaptation. I mean, Julia Stiles in that same movie, also a Shakespeare adaptation. And I'm just like, how is this movie not famous? I was obsessed with it, but, like, it wasn't popular. And, like, a lot of people haven't seen it. I rewatched it the other day. Whew! Though, some white guys do drop the N-bomb a few times. And I was like, whoa, okay. This was early 2000s. I don't do that anymore. But it's an excellent adaptation of Othello. I think I did like a school paper on it or something. It was like really well done. And like with basketball is like the thing. Anyway, total side Josh Hartnett thing. But yes, him taking off his shirt is hilarious. I don't know. I think he's kind of fun as a clown. I think that like it is a huge shift, though, watching him from this movie to the movies now. Like, he definitely is, like, like a more hardened, like, we're this... But he is kind of a clown in this one, honestly, too. Like, we hungry, you know, like, all of that stuff. Like, the stealing of the... He stole the guy's... the drug lord's guy. He stole something from his house. Cutter. Yeah, like... He's still kind of a clown in the first one.
Back.
But it feels like his main thing in this is just like being combative. Like he's so antagonistic with Brian, and then all of a sudden he and Brian are okay, and then he starts picking on Monica, maybe for stealing Brian away from him, kind of.
Yeah, because
like,
they're in love, obviously.
He's always... Yeah. Wait, what do you think is a better hidden gay love story? Brian and Dom in the first movie, or Brian and Roman in this movie?
Look... I mean, obviously, Brian and Dom is epic. They're all time, right? Roman's like his lover from his young days. That's like his former love. You know, they'll always have a history, but like they're moving in a different direction. Him and Dom are like, for Dom anyway, they're endgame. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on, he marries his fucking sister. Let's be real. Let's be so for real. These men are in love with each other.
Where do you think, from the first movie to this movie, where did Brian get his driving confidence? Is it only from Dom? Is it from his love? Is that love story with Dom? Because like in the first movie, he's like he can't really race. He's like nervous. He's like goofing on like the time or whatever. And here he's just like confidently like one of the best drivers in the movie. We saw the turbocharged prelude. I don't know if that's on your DVD or not.
Oh yes, it is.
It's not there.
You can watch them together in like a. They're like, do you want to watch it with the turbocharged prelude on like that really goofy intro movie with no dialogue? Yes.
With Minka Kelly as girl, but like where does he get his confidence from?
I think it's from developing his own sense of morality outside of the system. And I think that's what you get at the end of that movie. It's like he's been stuck in a system where he's like, this is like what it is. Like, this is what I have to conform to, like this broader, like police structure. And then his like confidence comes from being like, no, I can develop my own sense of self and my own sense of like morality. And that just gives him like overall confidence. Plus he drove from like California to Florida. So I guess he like practiced in that time, right? It kind of indicates that he's like practicing along the way and racing along the way in these like small towns where
it's
there's
your
not
Mr.
like
Miyagi moment.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a big montage of him just like racing lesser drivers and winning, and now he's like, now I'm great.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got nothing to lose, also.
Because it just feels like because the first line that he says in the first movie is shit. Like he can't drive well at all, like he's doing those donuts in the Dodgers parking lot, and then all of a sudden he's just like steamrolling the like he's the ringer that they call in. Like he's so a slam dunk to win the race. The judge is like, yeah, come on down.
Do we know how long it is between these two movies?
Oh,
We've tried to figure. I don't know if we've actually correctly figured that out or not.
It's a decent
I think they're
amount of
in time.
I mean, you think it probably takes them like maybe a couple of weeks to. I'd say it's fairly shortly after the first movie. I'd say within like a couple of months at most between them.
I mean, yeah, I guess he doesn't really have much to do except for practice driving.
Yeah, he's just racing his way across America trying to get good.
Maybe he did 10,000 hours.
Do you guys think it's weird that Verone shows up to the houseboat? Like, it makes sense that he sends Roberto and Enrique there to, like, rough up Brian or, like, look for Monica or whatever, but, like, for the boss to show up too?
If you're looking for your girlfriend, no. It's not weird. But that's the crux of this. Is that if he didn't think Monica was there, he does not show up.
That was my
He
best
doesn't
guess,
care.
too, yeah. Because it's not like he doesn't trust his guys or he's, like, trying to input. It was like how serious this is to Brian and Roman. It's just like, is Monica here?
Is my girlfriend
Yeah.
here? And I need to see it with my eyes. And then I'm going to murder you. I think that's exactly what it is.
Leesa, would you live in a houseboat?
No, I would not.
Would you live in the back room of a auto body parts store?
Probably, I guess. If I was young, which I'm not anymore. I will say the one scene in this movie that I think could not be there and I would like the movie more if it wasn't, is the rat scene. Feels really unnecessary. Feels really not a thing that needs to happen in this
It's
movie.
violent.
And I would love to hear your thoughts on it. I think it is the most like violent scene in the whole franchise in a way.
We would agree. Yeah. The most actively violent. Because, like, normally like, we see buildings get blown up, whatever. But that's not, like, actively one-on-one torture
Yeah.
violence. Yeah.
It's like mob violence. Like,
Yeah.
Mark and I just watched
Yeah.
Casino I saw it for the first time, and, like, he puts, like, guys...
Oh, you've never seen Casino till did you?
No, and I'm just like,
Jesus
why are we not
Christ.
watching Goodfellas? Like, that was my takeaway. Just like, this is, like, bad Goodfellas.
Equal amounts
Bad
of
fellas.
blueberries every month.
Haven't seen either of those films. Sorry, guys.
They're basically the same thing, except Goodfellas is good and Casino is less good. Like, if
Wow.
Casino's
if
incredible.
Goodfellas didn't exist, Casino would be great.
Okay.
That's fair. Yes, that's a really good take. I like that review.
But, like, they put, like, a guy's head in a vice in that. And she's like, yeah, that's a torture scene, right? That, like, this is like, you put a bucket on a guy's chest with a rat in there, you heat up the bucket. It's like, that's,
It's also
like,
insane
brutal.
torture. It's insane torture. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to go that far. Why do you have to go that far? There are other things you could do. It just
We
it's
start
so
with
disgusting.
teeth and nails.
Like, it's just really,
Pulling
like,
out
I can't
teeth,
watch it.
ripping off fingernails.
It loses me every time. I hate this scene. It ranks it lower for me. I think it's a pretty fun movie. But, like, that scene, every time, I'm like, hate it.
One of our very early patrons, Ben, his fiance didn't love these movies, or now I guess now probably wife, but didn't love these movies, but when this would be on, she would have to leave the room for that one. Like, that's the one scene in the entire franchise that she could not watch.
It's really, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it. I like the movie otherwise, and I'm not really a fan of that.
Is there other stuff about this movie you don't like other than that? I mean, like, it's pretty high in your rankings. There are, again, 11 perfect movies, but, like, other things about this that you would cut out to make it even better?
Definitely cut out the rat scene. I probably Paul Walker saying "cuh." Although that does take me back,
On that note, while you think, I noticed a line, because there's a line that I love in the fourth movie, which I know you don't like, but there's the scene where at the end of the fourth movie, or like when there's like the Campos Braga scene, where they say, you still leave out milk and cookies for Santa? And Brian goes, yeah. Like, he, like, very, like, sheepish, he's like, yeah. He does the same yeah in this movie. When Bilkin says it's my day off, he goes, yeah. Like, I don't know, I guess it must be a Paul Walker thing. Like, I don't know how to respond to this thing, so I'm just going to say yeah, like, kind of like very quiet, meek way. But, like, it's the same, like, weird lack of force, lack of emphasis. Yeah. Very strange.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't remember that from the fourth movie. I really don't
have
watch
to.
the fourth movie that much because, like, if it's on, I'll, like, leave it on. But I never, like, actively seek out the fourth movie, which maybe now that I've spoken to you guys, I should go watch it.
Give it an honest shot.
It's just
It grows on you. It definitely comes around. It does.
I don't know. I think I just hate when, like, I think I hate every movie where Dom's on, like, a revenge quest for Letty. I'm like, Letty's a badass. Like, stop.
You don't have to save her. She's not a damsel.
Yeah, when they damsel Letty, I think that's part of it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know what I would cut from this film.
Are there other things that you love about it that we've not talked about?
Oh, I love the ejectocito. I think that's pretty funny. That is Roman being goofy. The scramble, as I said, is, like, I think, yeah, the best scene. Like, one of the best, like, scenes in the franchise. I think it's great. I don't know. I just love the introduction of like Ludacris and Tyrese. I love Suki. I think she's great. I wish she was in more films. I don't know why she's not back.
We want her back. How would you bring her back?
I don't know. It's hard, right? I mean, they haven't really needed an excuse before to bring somebody back. I feel like it would just simply be like Tej just like calling her up. It's just maybe being too long for that to be the case now. They'd have to create a whole story for where she's been. Maybe she like took a break from that life and like was doing something else, and then she like reaches back out to Tej, like her lost love. I like don't hate them as a couple. And like I am really sick of the whole like Ramsey like business. Like guys, she's not of the squad now. Stop doing this. Like she's hot, but like calm down.
You know what they could do? You know, we see Suki's got that artistic shit, like she's drawing that car. Maybe she's like a world famous artist now, and they have to like they have to like dive into the art scene.
In galleries.
Oh my gosh, yes! And she's like got an exhibition at the Met or something, and they like need to go and break it.
And they need to get into the Met to steal a different piece of art. She's their way in.
That would be amazing.
I like that. That's fun.
And there's like a party scene, and Steve Aoki is DJing because just
her brother is a DJ.
That's her brother.
Mm-hmm. That's actually a great idea. The Rams. I'm happy they haven't coupled Ramsey with anyone though. I like that. Sorry, I'm really stuck on Ramsey in my head.
No.
You're okay.
You know what would be amazing is if he called up Suki and then Suki and Ramsey got together, and that's now my headcanon because can Ramsey just be gay? That would be great. Why not?
It would be the funniest outcome if Tej and Roman are constantly hitting on her, and at like the end of this, she's just like, I don't like guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Bye, bitch. I am off with my lady.
Well, we've kind of talked about it on here before. I know that we have talked about like The Rock being very asexual in his movies. Like he never like plays characters who like are any sexualized at all. But sort of since he was added, the entire franchise has gotten asexual. Like there's nobody's horny anymore.
That's true. Okay, so with The Rock, I don't remember what movie it was, but he had hair in it, and I had a movie up. It was just like playing in the background, and he had a sex scene, and I was so uncomfortable. I'm like, that's not what he does. Like he's so asexual. It's crazy. Yes, it has become asexual, and I don't hate it. I mean, it's still got the hot girls and the butts and the whatever. Like it always has the gratuitous butt scenes.
But it's almost like expected. Like it's not like those aren't horny, for lack of a better word.
They're
just
not.
like this is
it's
what
just
we
like
expect.
this is what we expect. I feel like it's hard, right? Because like the core relationship is really Letty and Dom, and they have no chemistry. Like the only chemistry is just because Michelle Rodriguez is so hot, and like that's it. And she's like fighting for her life, and there's like nothing from him. He's like, no, my love is dead. I am not.
Well, have you seen Los Bandoleros, the 20-minute short film that Vin Diesel directed?
Yes, but I could not tell you anything about it because
pretty good
I have
chemistry
not
in
seen
that.
it for a while. Okay.
Yeah, it's super sexy between them.
Oh, okay. Because, like, for me, I'm just, like the first movie, maybe. But then after that, I'm like, no, this is not
Correct, yeah.
a thing for me. Honestly, it's got such a huge, like, gay fandom. It should just be gayer, but it won't. Because do you think this is also, like, an influence of China? Like, no, like I feel like
yes,
there's...
100%.
Because these movies are very globally successful, and I feel like a lot of movies have, like, taken this route, trying to cater to other countries and their standards. I mean, I think what the Fast and Furious has done
Russia.
in a really, really good way is bring in new markets in every movie, in their shooting locations and in the actors that they choose to bring into the franchise.
The music.
Yeah, exactly. Like they've really done a great job at making a truly global franchise. But I guess what comes with that is then like different standards of that kind of stuff. But I would like to see Ramsey be gay, and I would like to see Suki be gay.
Let Ramsey be gay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other thoughts, other notes you want to share about this movie? Because we have a couple games to play.
About this movie? Because we just totally started talking about Ramsey, who's not here.
No, I mean, you can talk about whatever you want. We can also have you back for any other movie you want to talk about. Aside.
I was going to say, you're
Debs and
killing
whatever.
this. You're welcome.
Oh my god!
The vibe
I will
fits
talk about
beautifully.
I will talk about Fast and Furious forever. I do want to shout out to Paul Walker's Converse shoes, which are unlaced, which are focused on several times in the movie. I don't know if that's part of it. I don't know if you had this, but the Universal tire being popped
Yes.
up and down at the beginning.
Yeah.
With like the lug
just
nuts or
felt
whatever.
right. Ludacris's afro, I felt like great about. Was really happy to see that. It's really epic at the beginning. Yeah, that's it. I mean, apparently.
What do you think? What do you think about Ludacris having songs in the Fast and the Furious, but also being an actor named Tej in the Fast and the Furious at the same time?
I think it's great.
Do you think Ludacris knows Tej? Do you think Tej knows Ludacris? Are they doppelgangers? Are they the same person in hiding? Is he in witness protection?
Wow.
What is your thoughts on this?
I love...
Because there's a world, because Area Codes plays, and that's not the only Ludacris song that plays in this franchise. And then you have Ludacris in the movies. Very much an Ocean's 11, Tess's Julia Roberts situation, right?
I think that Tej is Ludacris in a parallel universe where he took a different path. But somehow the universes came together.
Sure.
And the music...
Is that the Universal in the Universal? It's just all the it's the different.
It's the multiversal.
Ludacris. It's
Yeah.
the
Multiverse of Tej.
Yeah. That's his Marvel moment.
cool.
Multiverse. Then I wanted to do the multipass. The Lilu. Okay. Fifth Element. Amazing.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Yeah, we were there.
Yes. My roommate's name is Lungaway, and so our couple name is Lilu. Because it's normal to have a couple name with your best friend.
Of course.
And we have an amazing Lilu picture up in our...
Joey and I just
Just
shared
Joe.
one.
Yeah.
You just
didn't
have both Joe. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think multiverse.
Well, okay, so the only way that, like, we've gone to space, we talked about that. The only way to go beyond that is time travel or multiverse. Do you see either of those happening, or are they going to, like, make it... Because it seems like Universal's like, you're spending too much money, these are too crazy, dial it back. But there's only, like, one or two more movies, maybe. Do you think we get time travel or multiverse, or do they simplify?
I think that realistically they'll probably simplify, but I think that if they were going to do one of those, it would be time travel.
Okay.
I mean, I think of them now as superhero movies. I think people need to calm down with this. They're not realistic. Like, neither's Mission Impossible, but, like, you don't really care when it's Mission Impossible. Yeah, I think time travel would be the most likely. I don't know if they'd really fuck with, like, timelines in these movies.
Well, they have, but unintentionally.
Yeah.
Just from apathy.
All the time.
Yeah. But not, like, I don't think they'd try and do, like, a multiverse Marvel situation. But, I mean, it is really funny that they just retconned Jason Momoa.
Well, they did it twice. They did it Jacob and they did Jason Momoa. Like, they just like, oh yeah, Dom had a brother. Did we not tell you that he had a brother for these 9 movies?
There's
like,
literally a line when Mia says to Dom, "You're my only brother." Like, there's literally a line, "You're my only brother," and it's like, guys.
Well, that's because Jacob was dead to them at the time.
He's dead to them.
But he was never dead to Mia. Like, Mia's like, no, I was talking to him for a while. Like, it's...
But she had to hide that from Dom. The logic is there. But
I do love John Cena being in the franchise.
is he dead?
No, for sure not. I mean, Dom didn't see him die if we're going by your theory. Did Dom see him die?
No.
No. Okay,
He saw an explosion in the rear view, but like, we never even saw a body.
I feel like he can't be dead, although it would be kind of wild if he was. I love John Cena. I love John Cena in the franchise. I think he's great and goofy. I think that I am sick, though, of actual family being brought in. I think that again, it's like the same thing that like they're losing is like the living outside of society found family is like a very good and interesting take, and to keep bringing in like actual blood family is like, okay, but you're kind of taking away from the point, which is that family is not about blood. It's about like people around you. So we don't need to keep bringing in like these characters. And I just feel like maybe it would be better if they like, I like Jason Momoa as a villain. I think just because I love Jason Momoa, I think he's really fun. But again, like, I feel like it would be more fun for me if they were just like against the fucking system again. Like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, Jason Momoa is not the system, although he does have, I guess, like, at least in Brazil, like the system in his pocket.
Yeah, but that's the system of Brazil. That's not like that's not the system we care about.
Yeah, exactly. So like I'm kind of anti that. So for me, what would be really cool is if it came back to its roots in that way. I like that at least they've come back to their roots cinematographically. That's not a word, but you know what I mean.
We know what you mean.
Like I like that it's come back to that like colorful, fun. I think Jason Momoa is having the best time and absolutely batshit crazy. That scene with anyway, we talk about it another time. The scene with the dead people is just like, I was just cackling. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Mm-hmm. What the fuck is going on? This is crazy. And I feel like he did his own wardrobe, and it's amazing.
It's beautiful.
Best dressed person in the franchise, 100%.
I think we'll save the goofs for this movie for the fast lane because I want to find out what Fast and Furious character Leesa is. Leesa, do you want to take a quiz and find out
I
which
would
Fast
love
and Furious
to.
character you are?
Oh my God, please.
So we found years ago when we started the show, we found a quiz online that we're like, we can do a better one. So we made our own quiz.
Okay.
So there are 7 questions. Each question has 6 answers. There's no wrong answers. It's just like it's a personality quiz, like a BuzzFeed style, like what kind of person are you?
J14.
Yes. And then we will find out which Fast and Furious character you are. So question number 1. How fast are you? NASCAR, roller coaster, Lamborghini Murcielago, Toyota Prius, Vespa, or Razor scooter?
The fastest one of those. I don't know what's faster, but I am.
It goes fast.
It goes
slow.
fastest though. So
Okay.
NASCAR was the fastest. we
I
would
feel
say.
like that I'm NASCAR. I am very like. I have considerably slowed down my speech since I moved here. Sometimes when I get excited, I get faster. I feel like now that my accent has Americanized somewhat, I am a bit faster, but I literally go at like 3,000 miles an hour all the time.
Cool. So now to
I
question
can't
number
help
2.
it.
You know the question's coming. How furious are you?
Oh my God.
The Hulk, Kylo Ren, Christian Bale on that one movie set that one time, Mel Gibson, Charlie Brown, or Jack McBrayer?
I think I'm Kylo Ren.
Okay.
But like
Pretty
I'm pretty
Okay.
angry right now, like generally speaking, at
Yeah,
state of
we all are.
Just-
We all are. It's fine.
but I'm not going to put the Hulk level angry. I feel like I could still be saved, you know?
We're having a barbecue. How are you helping? Are you on the grill? Are you saying grace? Are you kicking back with a beer? Are you babysitting? Are you being the entertainment? Or are you sneaking a snack?
I am 100% on the grill. I am a huge barbecue dad.
Love
Oh
it.
my God. I usually cook my Thanksgiving turkey on the barbecue, but I'm not on turkey duty this year. But
Oh,
I have an amazing
Love it.
hairy chest apron, and I am, my friends buy my gifts on Gifts for Dad. They
Wait,
just get me
wait,
barbecue tools.
is that a site? Gifts for Dad?
Well, they just look up, they'll be like, here are some gifts for Dad. And they'll be like, that's where we're going to
yes.
shop for Lisa. Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
'cause
got
was like,
personalized.
I was hoping it was a real site. I was about to bookmark that too.
I have not known what to buy my dad for the last like 15 or 20
Well,
years.
maybe let me tell you a couple of gifts that I've received. I got personalized grill tools. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
they've got my name on them, which I love things with my name on them because it's felt kind of weird. I got a barbecue. Well, actually, no, I bought this for myself, and then my friend bought it for her dad because she's like, that's a great dad gift. A barbecue light that's magnetic and it sticks on your barbecue so you can see
Oh,
what
yeah.
you're doing at night.
My father-in-law has
Of course,
one. Yeah,
so
for sure.
good. Anyway, we can go on. We can discuss this later. But
Those are
yeah, I
wonderful.
just feel like they're great. They're 2 great ideas for you.
Lisa, you've got time to kill. What are you doing? Are you grabbing a bite, working on your car, hanging with friends, drinking a beer, working out, or doing some work on your computer?
Probably grabbing a bite.
Describe your wedding. I'm never getting married. It's just me and my partner. It's us and our families. It's a backyard country affair. Everyone I know is there. I don't remember.
It would be, I'm not getting married, but the caveat is if I had to because my partner wanted to, or for visas, which, you know, is a thing that could happen. But let's just say never getting married if it's my choice alone. I
Lisa,
don't see the point.
Congratulations. Not about the wedding thing, but I mean also maybe about the wedding thing, whatever. But congratulations, you just won the lottery. What are you buying? Your own garage, a private plane, gambling it all away, my childhood home, a fleet of cars, or a new life?
I would probably say that none of them really apply to me, but it would be, let's just say for this, probably a new life.
What would you spend if you won the lottery? What would you buy?
I would buy a small apartment building, not unlike the one I'm living in now in New York, and I would have a system where, not necessarily, because I feel like sometimes giving people things for free is like a weird thing, but I would certainly like create a situation so all my friends could own their apartments and that we could all just live in one building together and I don't have to worry about landlords or whatever. And I would just pretty much live a pretty similar life to now, except travel more and not be worried about money.
So my childhood home kind of could be that. Private
Yeah.
plane could kind of be that. I mean, the traveling part, but a new life is also like a new way of doing things. So you could do a new life.
Yeah, maybe a childhood home is a better answer.
It's up to you.
Let's go for that. I would buy a home, but I wouldn't buy like a fancy home. I'd just buy a home that was like,
Yeah.
I don't need a big place. I just would want to live. Not
Final
at the-
question.
Yeah.
To decide it all, what is your drink of choice?
Oh,
Belgian ale, Corona, something fruity, water, whatever's cheapest, or just one of whatever Joe's having?
this is a really hard question. The hardest question of them all.
Really?
Because I don't necessarily like Corona, and I've been working at a craft beer bar, and at the craft beer bar, I got kind of sick of craft beer. So I have been drinking Mexican lager, but not Corona.
That feels like how like chefs who make like crazy food just like I just like McDonald's. Like I'm so sick of like fancy food.
Literally,
Like
I drank so much like high, expensive, like very whatever craft beer. I actually can only have one or two of those, and then I'm out. Whereas I'll just go and get like a Victoria.
Can we not dox you, but can you eventually tell us what bar this is? Because all of the craft beer bars that I liked in New York have closed down since pandemic.
I will send it to you privately and not announce it on the air.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you.
I am sick of craft beer. But I would say on the spirit of it, I am a fancy bitch. So let's go for the fancy one.
the Belgian ale.
I think it's more my personality, even if I now drink shitty beer.
I have a guess.
It's a 2-way tie.
Ooh.
Is one of them Roman Pierce?
No.
'Cause one of them feels very Roman
No,
Pierce.
no, no,
okay.
no.
Oh, off.
You are a tie between.
We've never had a tie.
No,
either,
we've had
huh?
ties. It just the system just
Okay.
prioritizes the top one. So you're either Dominic Toretto or Owen Shaw.
Oh, wow. Interesting. That's a weird
What do you want the
tie.
blurb for? Which
Yeah, which of
character
those
do
would
you
you
want the
prefer?
blurb for?
I don't know. Owen Shaw?
Yeah,
Okay, let's go.
Gaston himself. You want him?
I mean, I don't think I want to be... I probably am Dom, though. That's sad.
Well, the NASCAR and then the Kylo Ren and then being on the grill. It's like, oh no, these are all
Sways
Is
it hard.
Dominique
yeah.
on the grill?
Dom's always on the grill. Yeah.
I thought that Spanish guys were usually badly on the grill.
Yeah, but like I think when he wants it done right,
You know what? I've got to be honest. I probably am a little... If of those two, I probably am more Dom.
you're more Dom. You want Tom?
Sure.
Leesa, your stoic attitude is intimidating. Your cool demeanor under pressure is inspiring, and your expertise under the hood is envied. But all these pale in comparison to your loyalty to your family. You may claim to live your life a quarter mile at a time, but there's nothing you wouldn't do for the people in your life, and at the end of the day, nothing makes you happier than throwing something on the grill and sharing a few Coronas with your familia, and you drive like the wind blows.
I will say at the beginning, I felt like that's not me. I'm definitely not cool or stoic. But the last half, absolutely. I am very, loyal friend, and I am very into the grill. So I'll take it. I'll take it.
I'm glad that it works for you. Here's a hint. It's like astrology. They all apply to everybody.
Yeah.
Love that.
The final thing to do, then we will let you go because we've kept you for way too long, is this ain't no 10-second race, a.k.a. Boy Do We Have a Podcast for You.
Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Come and check out our show. Yeah, yeah.
So this is where we go on X.com, the everything app, and we find any tweet from anybody on there, and we say, hey, you should listen to our show. Like, that's how we found Leesa, and I got 25 points, and now I'm in the lead for the first time, and I'm scared now. I'm playing scared now up in the head. But, Leesa, you found a couple tweets. Can you please send them to me either via email or throw them in the Zoom chat or whatever, because I'm going to have them here and respond to them, but I also want you to read them aloud.
So one of them is an older tweet. It's from September, but I have seen this person tweet about the Fast and Furious a decent amount. And then the other one is a more recent tweet that I thought was funny. You can see them both. Which one would you choose for real?
I think the one from Willa from this
Yeah,
week
that's what I
is
thought.
more in line with the
Yes.
types of tweets we find.
Cool.
So let's do that one.
Okay.
Can you please read who it's from and then read what the tweet is and then how you would like us to customize the response?
I don't know how to customize response, but it's from Willa, who is at Willa Wilds 666. Never forget that the big race in the Fast and the Furious franchise is called Race Wars. I can't even deal with it every fucking time I watch these movies, which I always laugh out loud at that as well.
We agree, Willa. It's been a choice to keep that name.
Yeah, like they could have axed it, but they didn't.
Or just updated it, called it something
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
Nope. Stuck with Race
Yeah.
Wars. We came back to
Yeah.
it.
So I thought that was pretty good. I don't know how you would respond. Maybe
I mean, I could just say, we
like
agree, Willa,
Joe
it's
did.
been a choice to keep that name, like Joe just said.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Podcast
yeah.
for you.
Perfect. Amazing.
Joe, hit us with your tweet, please.
I'm from approximately 10 black circles at Real Marlins fan.
Mm-hmm.
It's a quote tweet of the Collider thing. Vin Diesel shares surprising Fast and Furious 11 filming update, and he says, Honestly, they need to bring back Eva Mendes and get Ryan Gosling as a village in a package deal, Brian's brother. Using the film Drive as an unofficial backstory prequel.
Yo.
Similar to Better Luck Tomorrow for Han. Also bring back Devin Aoki as Suki and Carter Verone.
Yeah.
And I want to say, real Marlins fan? Like,
Yes.
how did you already listen to this episode that we've just recorded? Or you could say, coming from two guys that that also have a Ryan Gosling podcast.
One or the other. They're both good. Which one do you want to do?
I don't know. Is the Ryan Gosling going to be off-putting, or give us a one-up? What do you think?
Well, whenever you help, I think we do the Gosling one.
Okay. Yeah, I like that too. We have to mention that Gos is like our dude too, right? Like that's.
As two guys who have both a Ryan Gosling podcast and the Fast and Furious podcast, boy, do we have a podcast for you. Podcast or two for you.
Oh, perfect.
You have a
Well
Ryan
done.
Gosling
Nice.
podcast as well?
We do. When we started this, we did a Gosling podcast and a Channing Tatum podcast, and the Channing one sort of died because we just kind of got burnt out. We focused on this one. We also did the Zac Efron one, so we're caught up on Zac Efron movies. So if you want to hear us talk about every single
Zac Efron movie, including some really,
all out
really
there.
fucked ones.
My most popular review on Letterboxd is just me in Gosling's worst movie. No, not worst movie, but like most obscure movie. Saying where he pops up for like 5 minutes. And people are just like, this is very helpful. Thank you for your service. So this is kind of a little bit of a roundabout way, but it's from Cultural Environment at Matariq 555.
Okay.
And
Where are we
they're
going with
responding to someone who just said, who is she? And that was in response to a post that was deleted. But what we are doing here is we are going to Cultural Environment saying, Mother, parentheses, Suki, from Too Fast, Too Furious.
Hey.
And I'm just going to say, she is Mother. What a podcast for you. I don't know what, I guess maybe Cultural Environment posted something originally that was also Suki, was also Devin Aoki. And then Matt was like, yo, who's that? And then she's like, Suki, Mother. So,
Mother.
But Leesa, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You were a delight, lady. Thank you.
What would you like to plug? Where can our listeners find you? Not the name of the bar, but your crosswords, your podcast, anything like that. So what do you want to plug?
Oh my goodness. I've been in such a slump really with the podcasting thing. I haven't recorded for a minute, but I do have a few podcasts. Sweet Bitter is a queer women's history podcast. We have 2 seasons that are up. They're a few years old now. One is about Sappho. The other is about queer pirates. I have a podcast that I made a couple of years ago called Cult America about how America is a cult. It's pretty fun. I did it with my friend Carl. We cover 15 things that make a cult and how America does them too. So that's pretty fun. And then I write crosswords. I am hoping to be published soon. I wrote a crossword every week this month. I just did a Thanksgiving puzzle, which I can send you guys after this. But if you go to leesacharlotte.com, that's Leesa with 2 E's, you can kind of find everything I've done there.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for joining. You've been great.
Thank you guys.
Seriously.
I was so nervous. I recorded for ages. And
Don't be.
that was honestly
we'd
the
love to have you
hardest
back.
list I've ever made in my life. I was stressed about it all morning.
Well, you did a great job. Best episode of all
You did
time.
an
Not
excellent
but
job.
far from the worst episode of all time. But also, I
It's
get 25
hovering
points.
around Too
It's a
Fast and
win-win.
Furious. It's appropriate.
You're like in the good section of the Fast and the Furious. It's like not.
I mean, look, we've had 384 perfect episodes. That's not true. A lot of them have been bad.
I am still just in awe of that. That's wonderful. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
And I will hopefully see you guys again.
We would love to have you back on for
love
Debs
to.
and for
Love
whatever
to.
movies. But Joe, our next episode is another Life in the Fast Lane. We're doing Tokyo Drift Minute 3 next week. And then our next main feed movie is Thrashin' from 1986. The only extreme
Oh,
sports.
yeah,
This is a
sick.
rollerblading movie or maybe skateboarding movie from 1986 starring Josh Brolin. Very excited to watch that again. So check that out. But for all things
stoked for
Too
it.
Fast, Too Forever, go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFastTooForever, or at Too Fast, Too Forever on all the socials. Email us, family@cageclub.me. We'll read that on the next episode next week. Check out our Patreon page at TooFastTooForever.com. As we're recording this, we just had an episode go up about Streets of Fire. Our final episode, bonus episode from the last lap, still catching up.
Yeah,
But Streets of Fire with a
yeah.
young Diane Lane in there. Shout out to Larson for picking that one. And come back next week for Life in the Fast Lane number 37, where we cover Tokyo Drift Minute 3, and also the Goofs for Too Fast, Too Furious. I'm Joey Lewandowski,
I'm Joe too.
and that was Leesa Charlotte, and we will tell you all about it
when we see you again.